welcome. It's back to season 4, episode 9. We're coming up on the 4th of July, so we're going to talk about fireworks. We're going to go to Canada, so we're going to talk about poutine or tang. And then we're also going to talk about Brett's, I don't know what he's got on his shoulders, and Jim's new wrestling background tonight. I think that's what we're going to talk about today.
That's not new, though. I've had this.
Oh, that's not. I thought you
That's
might
the
come
same
with a
one.
new one.
No, it's
Nope.
the same.
Like Jim, go with the old standby.
His resources
Ain't broke,
are
don't
limited.
fix it.
Yeah. Well, he did admit to us he did not have any talent off air, so
He did.
I will commend him for admitting is the first first thing to recovery, right, Brett?
Yeah, something like that.
Speaking of recovery, how's your neck?
Like shit.
What did you do? I mean, did you fall off the mower? Did you?
Well, people don't think I do anything anyway. But occasionally, I do get up from my desk, and when I do, I usually throw my neck out.
So just by standing up?
Yeah, I just got out of bed and threw my neck out. Actually, I threw my neck out in the shower, as weird as that may seem.
No, I was gonna say if you were complaining about your wrist, it's because you forgot to lock the elbow in.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to
Or maybe you forgot to lock the elbow and then you slipped on the soap and then.
No, I've had this problem much of my entire life. Ever since I went to Worlds of Fun in 8th grade.
I thought this was gonna be after you. This happened
Like
after you wrecked the first sport mod.
86. I was in 8th
What
grade.
ride did it to you?
The Orient Express.
Teacups.
Teacups, yes.
It was the Orient Express.
All right,
I
explain
think
that.
that was the name of the roller coaster at the time.
Yeah, it was. That was the
Yeah,
big one
it was.
back
I
then.
did this.
So how did this
I have
happen?
had this my entire life. I throw my neck out occasionally. I did it in the shower. I'm not joking. I usually
The
do it in the
lawsuit
shower.
you could have had by now.
When I put my hands above my head and
And you wash your hair?
yeah, it does something. It pops my neck out of place. Both the chiropractors that I
Thought it might have
used-
been when you dropped the soap.
No,
You
No,
wash.
I can't touch my feet.
You
right
wash
now.
your own hair. I thought you had people for that.
Yeah.
Right, I do.
Jim,
usually.
he buys the bars on a rope.
I call Virginia. Hey, you can wash my
Soap
hair.
on a rope.
Yep. Did you come in there and wash my hair?
I can't even touch my toes right now. So yeah, I was going to skip the podcast, but we got celebrity on here, so there's no way.
Oh
I'm-
my!
there's
Exactly.
No way I'm skipping
this is a non
International.
You can't skip this
Yes,
one.
this one is going international.
I'm gonna look like Rocky, but hey,
Is this our first international guest?
It is, I think, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we've had Wade on before, but this is our first Canadian guest.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
We have had
Wade
Wade. We've had
is
Wade in studio.
Yes, we have.
Wait, aren't they a state?
51st.
No.
Yes, it's becoming.
It's
Yeah,
up-
I think it's
I-
becoming the 51st state.
I think that's one of the things they're voting on this week for that big beautiful bill in D.C. is that Canada will be a 51st state.
You know, I think we need to steal a little bit a page here. When we change our rules, we have to have clever names like that. A supercalifragilistic
Expialidocious.
expialidocious,
We should have a good division called the Big Beautiful Division.
the big beautiful division.
I think we should name the divisions after the candies and from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, like the everlasting gobstopper.
We're not going to make any decisions in this big beautiful division. We're just going to let people argue the whole time.
Oh,
And nobody's going to agree on
wait.
anything.
We'll come up with a decision
How
in
is
a
that
couple
different
weeks.
than any
Just
other
2 weeks.
division we
Oh
have?
yeah, that's right. I just described what we do almost every
But can we put stock?
every week of the year.
Can we put stock cam in there, but then not tell you can't machine them?
Unaltered.
Yeah, because that's how you alter it. You take a stock cam and
Right.
grind it
Technically,
down
if
with a
something
machine
has
shop.
been
Those rules are
changed,
just highly
it has been
recommended.
altered. It's just a play on words, though. It really is. I love that game. I love that when we play those. Well, it doesn't say you can do that. Well, it doesn't say this word or doesn't say that word.
It doesn't say you can or
We
can't.
talked about this before. Can you imagine if we had to have every word that you
Oh
couldn't,
shit!
You'd have a rule book like this.
everything you
thick.
couldn't do in the rules?
I was going to get him there. I was going to help his neck.
EIRI. That's the good one.
That's it. I think we went to that card 3 times yesterday.
Oh no,
Monday.
with the same person.
No, 3 different
No,
people.
And his wife.
3 different ones.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ryan got hung up on yesterday.
I did.
Why would anybody hang up on you with that? I mean, all I ever hear is people just love the sound of your voice, and it is sexy and romantic. And
Well, they
what
didn't-
did you do to
they
this
didn't
lady?
like what I had to tell them. Don't break the rules. Don't refuse a claim. Don't refuse tech. We wouldn't be in this position.
Bingo.
Sometimes the choices you make have consequences that come with them.
Right.
I like to refer to it as play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, I do too.
Correct.
And hang up on Ryan.
It's all in the big beautiful bill.
Big beautiful bill.
Got to find the words.
it's hidden.
It is.
It's hidden beneath the fries and gravy of the poutine.
Oh, there's
With
nothing
tang
better.
on top.
Nothing better. Right, Byron?
Yeah, absolutely. Poutine's the best.
Poutine and hockey. What more could the guy
It's the
want?
best. It is pretty good.
I don't eat a lot of poutine regularly.
He does Ryan.
I was going to say, Byron, do you look at? Oh, my God, 911! You're throwing his neck out even worse. Holy!
I hear that's an acquired taste, and I don't want to acquire any of
Yes.
that.
Oh,
I mean, I don't mind when a Lady Gravy use my fries, but
oh, that's the best.
I wish
can't
that would have
wait
been
to-
on camera.
We got to reset. We got to reset. Hey, how were the races last week? we were going down a road I don't think we want to go down.
I can't wait to get my
confused
neck
at which
fixed. So I can really
podcast.
laugh. Oh gosh.
It's kind of a mix between IMCA and Caller Daddy.
Did you say collar or collard?
No, what is that
A
one?
collared daddy? That's what you said.
Something in the leather?
No, what is that? Somebody help me out here.
I don't know, but
It's Color Daddy. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real thing.
It's Collar Daddy.
Yeah.
Rumor
It's
has
like
it.
it's like supposed to be even bigger than Rogan's podcast now, or it's getting close.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
The largest podcast.
I thought it was some on a Thursday night.
Largest podcast in the United States.
Wow. What about Canada? When they become a state, will it be
Probably.
perfect? Byron, we're going on the tour.
Yes, we are. It's coming real quick here.
Are you
Only a few
excited?
days away now.
Are you excited?
Dave has actually left 4 days ago.
He should be there by the 4th of 6 races.
We'll be here just on time.
Yep. Right.
Starts Saturday, doesn't it? The 5th?
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts Saturday the 5th, Jamestown Speedway.
Jamestown.
Little early this year, button up on July 4th, but that's just how the calendar works.
Well, now that you have a season under the belt, you and Aaron as the new tour directors, I guess. What is your official title?
Yeah, I guess we don't really title ourselves. We're co-directors. I guess
We can
say.
give you titles.
I know you guys know things kind of work a little different in this area. Of the 6 tracks on the tour, 4 of them are board ran. And I can only speak for Estevan, but like Estevan's even a not for profit. So things are kind of done.
So is
more as a
Marshalltown.
Yeah. It's kind of done as the community, right? Where like we work together. So I wouldn't even say we're co-promoters, nothing. We're just helping the tracks organize this. Like there's so many people that are involved with the tracks that are doing so much to help us along. It's a community effort for sure. So maybe co-promoters, co-directors, whatever. But for us, it's just like, doing something that this localized racing scene needs, quite frankly. And it's a very historic part of the tracks here. So we just want to, make it as good as possible.
It was really an interesting process how that whole transition went down from John Gardner to you guys and with you guys opening up more, with the tracks having a bigger part of what I believe that I saw last year, a bigger part of the tour, some of the decisions that go on with the tour. And, I think, obviously we can't take anything away from what John did for 35 years, 30.
Yeah, 34 years.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I from being up there last year, I really like the direction you guys have the tour going. I think it's going to just keep continuing to grow.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think, our relationships with you guys and the TV side of things, it helps a lot. And like I said, the support, not only from the TV, from you guys personally, even John, like John's still involved. Like,
Yep.
he's done a really good job of being a mentorship role to us. And that's important too, right? It's a passing of knowledge, and there's so much to running something like this, especially 6 different tracks, like all independently ran on their own. There's a lot of logistical things to make that work.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have done a great job stepping into it and picking it up and, once again, continued on the path that John had set forth 34 years ago.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I like the look of it. The drivers seem to be happy. I think we've done a really good job with our contingency stuff. Like everybody should be taking home a truckload of parts or something this year. So it's really cool. It's fun to build. You know, it's I kind of to go right back to the beginning of your question. What's it like doing year two? Once year one's in the books, you got the foundation down, and now you get to sort of tinker with the fun stuff. I feel like, and that's what we're really sinking our teeth into now.
Gotcha. So it's like a participation awards. Everybody's going to get something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we try to, you know, we bumped the purse last year on kind of on the lower side of things. We understand like the cost of travel, the cost of racing period is expensive, and you know, we do our best trying to bring money to the table, and we do our best trying to, you know, help equip the racers as well. Like anything we can do to help and sort of make it a little easier. That's, you know, that's sort of the goal here, is to grow the sport in North Dakota, and any way we can do that is the way to go.
I think something you guys have done, and John had done it over the years, it's even more important than money. You guys have made a fun environment out of it. I mean, the camaraderie, you know, that the guys get, that is a big part of the reason why they keep coming back every year. I mean, you guys make it fun to be at the racetrack.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, isn't that what we're supposed to be going on the racetrack for in the first place? And that's, I like the mindset
No
of that,
comment.
right? Like, well, you know, there's you guys talked about rule litigation at the start of the show, and that's a part of racing also. But, you know, I think maybe that's part of the communal effort of the tracks too. Like, it's most people treat this as their own vacation or their own holiday, and they like seeing, you know, the top racers in IMCA come here and challenge our local racers, and that's supposed to be fun. So I think, you know, I think that's our number one prerogative, is everybody should have fun. And to us, it's like, you know, Christmas at grandma's. All the family comes into town, and we get to see everybody that we only get to see once a year.
And then it's Boxing Day.
And then it's Boxing Day. Sometimes that does happen at the end of the races too, you know. You guys know very well Boxing Day.
Yes.
Hopefully none of that this year, but
Well, like I said, it's always a good time, and we, you know, really encourage the racers to, you know, if you haven't done it yet, put it on your bucket list. It's something I think everybody needs to experience once. I mean, the scenery, everything about it, you know, lends it the whole event, and it's just a excellent, like I said, event that you guys are putting on and growing.
you know, I think it's difficult to win. It's a grind when you're not racing. I really appreciate the drivers that do make the haul and complete the whole tour. You know, you travel every day. It's July, so that's the hottest part of the season here. And every track's a little bit different in its own way, and you're always kind of maybe changing your car, or sometimes you might get chasing it, and that's what make, you know, you're 3 different time zones, you're 2 different countries, but that's what makes it prestigious to win. I believe that, and it's hard to win, and it should be hard to win, and we're proud of that, I think, and that's what makes it special.
You know, one of the things that I've got, you know, on my mind is, Byron, you can probably chime in on this. How many features do you think Kyle Larson's going to win this year on the tour?
Kyle Larson will win no features on the tour this year.
Oh, I just heard a rumor, thought I would ask you about it.
It would be an honor if Kyle Larson did come and race with us, but I don't have him on my pre-registered list as of yet. So
Who do you have on the pre-registered list? If you don't have Kyle, who's on it?
you mean like actually Kyle Larson? Yeah, yeah, he's not on the list. It's the who's who of IMCA. We got Tom Barry's on there, Ethan Braxma, Colin Hibden. Rumors are Kyle Strickler's coming. He hasn't registered yet, but he's posting it on his social media. And then, you know, our local guys, Stephen Pfeiffer just won a big show here. He's been really good this year. Expect to see Travis Hagen. You know, it's the who's who. The stock cars are, man, the stock cars are going to be worth the ticket alone. We got 42 of those already signed up, and it's, you know, it is the real who's who. It's Shelby Williams and Jay Schmidt and guys from everywhere, Texas, California. It is amazing to see the stock car participation. Like, that's kind of outgrown my expectation, and that's really cool to see, because I think we all enjoy a good stock car race. So that's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely.
One of the things I find interesting about the tour, about anything anymore, is the transition. You know, when you transition from a tour that has been operated for its entirety by another individual, and transition that to new people, it can be very challenging. It's like any business, a succession plan, or however you want to look at it. I thought that whole process with John was really interesting, because I do believe at the end of the day, John continues to have, and had, with the inception of the tour and all throughout the years of running the tour. I thought John was you know, he really had North Dakota racing and the betterment of it as his goal, you know. And this tour just kind of, you know, we became involved in 98. I believe that was the first year, in 1998. Was it 1998? Sounds about right. Because it was non-IMCA for a while, for people who don't know that. Those who are younger guys, like the Broxmas of the world, they don't know. They don't know what it was like, and you weren't even born when the tour started. So, you know, the history of the tour prior to IMCA's involvement, and then how we became involved in IMCA, I think is always an interesting. It's an interesting conversation as well, you know, because that pocket of North Dakota, all of North Dakota for many years, was heavily WSOTA sanctioned. We had no business in the state of North Dakota until, Jim knows.
January at one of the, what was that, the big trade show they used to do up in Minot?
Motor Magic or whatever whatever they call that up.
Yeah, it was. All I remember was in January. I landed in Minot, and they said my rental car was the white one that was running out in front, and pointed to it outside the terminal. And then I walked away, and she goes, "Oh, you're going to need this," and she holds up an extension cord. I go, "What's this?" "Oh, you got to plug the car in at night." Oh, shit.
A little cold up there.
But I mean, you know, back in them days, you know, we got Minot on board. You know, John Gall
Yeah, who's no longer with
was
us.
a big part of it. Yep.
Yeah, John was pretty instrumental in that whole NODAC club there. Him and Scott Fuchs was involved, and some of the guys that obviously that's who I was dealing with when the tour went IMCA in '98. Dealt with those individuals, and they kind of spearheaded IMCA modified racing, and that was a big, bold move at the time for them to do that. And you know, you look at it now, here we are, almost 30 years later, in mod racing, and we got stock cars and hobby stocks and sport mods. We got all kinds of IMCA racing in the state of North Dakota now, and it all gets back to that pivotal point, that moment in time that you went up there, Jim, and did that. And then you include the tour. I do think that the tour also was a very, very instrumental part of IMCA's growth in North Dakota and our involvement in North Dakota. It's all connected. So it's a really cool story. It really is. It's you know, some of the behind the scenes stuff that Jim had dealt with, and some of the things that was going on. Moves like that as a sanction are very, very, very difficult. So you look back at that stuff, and we're very fortunate with the people we had behind us, supporting us, some long-time IMCA racers. I think of guys like Joran Boyce, who's, you know, last I knew was still racing. I don't see him as much as I used to, but you know, Joran Boyce.
His hair hasn't changed,
right?
I think he still has the mullet.
Oh yeah,
Joran and old time racers that are still familiar.
Seidler. And
you got the Godfather of North.
Hank Berry would be one.
Yeah,
Hank Berry,
Godfather of North Dakota racing, Marlon Seidler. I mean,
yeah, Marlon.
I see he won a stock car feature, the first stock car feature in Mandan this year, I believe, and I've seen his name pop up. And again, he's got to be almost 80 years old, and he's still driving a race car. It's crazy. But then you got Tom Berry too as well, or not Tom, Hank Berry. Sorry, too many berries. You got Hank Berry, and again, you won't meet a nicer guy. I think to me, Hank Berry is just he's one of the guys that make racing fun to be a part of. So you go up in that area and you deal with some of those older school racers, and then you throw in the new generation of racers that we're dealing with, the Broxmas and people like that. And, it's going to be an awesome tour. It always is. It's one of the reasons why that tour for us at IMCA has been what everybody wants to be. It has been the foundation or the mold or the however you want to say it. It's what everybody's trying to be. People always draw conclusions to the Dakota Tour, and that's a really cool thing. That says a lot about just how popular it is, just how well thought of it is, just how important I think it is to people all across the country, and many of which have never been there. You have people who have never been to the Dakota Tour that want to run a tour and be the Dakota Tour. It's just interesting. It really is. Lots and lots of winners. You read the story on our website. It's pretty cool. 104 tour races since 1998. 44 different winners. There's a lot of history up there. Some really cool stats too.
A lot of drivers have had career years too. When they have had success on the Dakota Tour, it's just a symbol of their entire season.
Yeah. The one that I get two that stick out in my mind. The Arpin is probably the one that sticks out in my mind first and foremost. I was on the tour the year that he won every race. Driving, I don't know if he was driving for Emil or who he was driving for. He had that M&M's car, or it looked like an M&M's car, right?
That was it would have been Emil. I think he was driving one of their cars.
Yeah,
it was Davin Emil's car.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember if it was Davin or Trent.
Yeah, and Arpin wasn't running any IMCA stuff at the time. I think he was kind of a Wasota guy, I think, something like that. He was living up there, but he wasn't off racing some of the stuff he's done since then, the rally cars and some of the other shit. And then obviously now he's instrumental in the Longhorn chassis for super late models. So Arpin's still in the industry. How many years later? I don't know when he won the tour, but it had
07.
It had been quite a few years ago. So yeah, you look at those moments in time too. They're pretty cool. You had Arpin do that, and Thornton did the same thing. I believe Ricky went up there one year, at least dominated.
Tom Berry didn't he?
Tom Berry did it. 22.
Yeah.
Tom Berry won all 6 features one year. He missed. He got like 3rd place in one heat race, which locked him out of the clean sweep of wins.
Yeah, but Thornton and Arpin are much more likable than Tom Berry.
I like Tom.
I do too. I just like giving Tom shit.
Yeah, like you said, the history of it. So much good history with Ricky Thornton, and we've had Kenny Wallace and Kenny Schrader, and it goes on and on. People, Ethan Dotson, who's now a big late model guy too. So it's pretty cool that we get those guys here, maybe in their, in the early years of their career. And like you said, I think IMCA coming on board unlocks the nation, right? Like guys can tour here from Texas because of the rule package, and going to IMCA is, I think, what maybe changed North Dakota racing, because, it's one thing to race a guy from, across the state or whatever, but someone comes here from California and they smoke you, and then you're like, there's a whole new world out there of speed that our guys get introduced to, and then that's how they become faster and learn from those guys also, right? So it's very important to have that national reach.
Absolutely. Make no mistake, though, North Dakota racing, North Dakota, all IMCA racing in North Dakota is about as good as it gets. You can take North Dakota racers and plunk them about every state that we do business in those divisions, and they're going to fit in. They're going to run up front. They're going to win races. It's the way that North Dakota scene has been ever since we started going up there. It's just a lot of really, really good racers up there. So
Jerry, are we boring you?
No, I was getting some behind the scenes footage.
Is it Snapchat or something? You making TikToks?
God.
Hey, I'm just sitting here enjoying the show, Jim.
I don't know how to do anything.
We're gonna have to put the rules like these schools have now. You got to put your cell phone in a box, Jerry.
Nope.
No hoods, no hats, no phones.
There you go.
Can't drive in Iowa and talk on your cell phone.
Hell, Ben's on here. Where'd you come from, Ben?
From parts unknown. I got moved to a different location, so I apologize.
Parts unknown.
So
it's like you're in a dense fog.
Well,
You hotboxing it there, Ben, or what? Holy cow!
Take your shirt off. It's gonna get wet.
It's like a sauna here.
I was going to point something out, and Byron will probably agree with me. You know, the stock cars were very exciting last year. They didn't have a repeat winner. It came down to the last race, and as Ryan pointed out too, drivers that have won the Dakota Tour have went on to have success later on. For a couple years, they're actually 22 and 23. Tom Berry Jr., Tim Ward, obviously they won the Dakota Tour. Then they won the Harris Clash, and then they won the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's. So if you're able to do this, you're able to do some great things.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see people have those years. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just where there's sometimes they're just on. The racer's just on. They almost can't be beat. You know, and then the names you mentioned have had those years. You know, it's interesting. And I think Broxman's kind of playing. I mean, Broxman's been fast the last couple of years, but he's won a lot of races. He hasn't won. But did he win? Didn't he win 141?
Yeah.
Yeah, help me. My memory, my neck's bad. You know, it's fogging.
Affects the memory.
Yeah, that's my excuse. But yeah, I mean, you got Broxman going up there. You know, and he could be well on his way of having one of those years as well. It sure seems to me like he's the signal. All the things are lining up like that. So,
and it's been a few years since there's been a repeat champion in the modified division. I think it's been 7-8 years. Hunter Marriott was the last one to go back to back. He won it 3 years from 16 to 18. So Broxma could join some exclusive or elite history of the tour.
Yeah, you look at guys like Hunter, and you got Jeff Taylor with 9 feature wins, and you know, we already mentioned Thornton and Arpin and Hank Berry, and you look at some of these guys that have won multiple tour events. Aaron Turnbull, you know, again, I never really finished, you know, the transition from John Gardner to Aaron and Byron. It's I don't know. I don't know if we could pick 2 better people, to be quite honest, ourselves. Byron, I mean, you're very well respected. Obviously, we love having you come down to Super Nationals. That's where we met you. It's unfortunate you live in Canada. I don't hold it against you. We'd love to have you live down in our neck of the woods and work full time for us, but you got a real job doing real things up there and hanging out in Canada eating poutine. Is that what you call it? Poutine. Gotta be careful how I say that. Does it sound weird? Poutine.
Please, yeah, at least a bad taste in my mouth.
How would you know?
But yeah, but again, Aaron, you know, Aaron's a really good racer. Plus, I've always been impressed with just how Aaron handles himself.
He's a nice guy.
He is.
Really
You
nice
talk
guy.
about laid back and
Right.
chill.
Yeah.
Right, very much so. So it's just a good fit. I couldn't think of two better people to take over the tour and run with it. You know, it's just, I think John again made a great decision with that. So, you know, I think the tour just is going to continue to set the mark for tours that we sanction across the United States. It sure has for many years. That's sure how everybody looks at it still. So,
Absolutely. You know, especially in this day and age where, unfortunately, there's a lot of tours that have been failing. And North Dakota just keeps getting stronger and stronger. I think it says a lot about the leadership.
It's because they can wear the crown up there and they just do it so great.
well, there's a lot of things about the tour that
Don't they wear crowns up there? Don't they have like a king or a prime minister or something?
in Canada.
In Canada, yeah.
We have both, actually.
You have a king and a prime minister? Do you have a queen?
We have the queen is dead. We have a king now.
That's
so.
right.
Well, he's not real. I don't know if he's really our king. It's just a symbolic thing for us, but we do technically have a king, I suppose.
He wears
Gotcha.
a crown.
Wow.
We get you a crown, Brett. Go with your bad neck.
No,
Crown Royal.
sure.
That's Canadian.
I have that crown almost every weekend, especially during racing season.
I thought you quit drinking.
I did during
During the winter months.
During the
He
winter.
doesn't drink anymore, but he doesn't drink any
Doesn't
less
drink any
either.
less.
I'm gonna drink a lot if my neck keeps bothering me like this. I'll be drunk every night this week.
Have a bottle of moonshine
My
there if you want
chiropractor's on vacation. What am I gonna do?
I was going to say, in Canada, we have something else that's legal that would be good for your back.
Yes, you do.
Jerry's going to take that ball and run with it.
No doubt, Dr. Jerry.
Yep, I told you I could fix you up, make the pain go away.
Right. Yeah.
Just sign a waiver. He's not a license. He's not a
Oh,
license.
you don't need to sign a waiver for this.
Trust me, Jerry, I don't want anything that comes out of your pocket in my mouth.
Who said it was in my pocket?
Trust me.
Oh boy.
So no, I don't either. I don't either.
Let's
might
just
be
gonna
the-
go down that road.
I definitely,
You've told me that for
I
years.
that might
definitely don't want
That
that.
may be the quote of the podcast, even with a bad neck.
Yeah.
But anyhow, yeah. Again, back to the track stuff. I mean, the tracks working together. I mean, it is also been
Such a rarity.
it is. We appreciate it so much here, and I think this is a subject that racers take for granted at times. I think they think that all the promoters get along, that all the promoters have the same ideas, they all think alike, they all it is so incredibly not like that behind the scenes, so
People think that nobody would ever hang up on Ryan.
right. Or you, Jim.
Oh no, people. Yeah, I mean,
Hell, I've hung up on Jim before.
Right. But yeah, it's the track's getting along. The track's working toward a common goal again. Is something that tour has accomplished very well. It's pretty important.
Something else that Byron pointed out that nowhere else in the country can make this work for the most part is the board run tracks. It's something I don't think we see in a lot of places, and it works up there, and it has for years.
explain how that works, Byron, to somebody who doesn't. I mean, we all know you've got a promoter and you've got staff, but I mean, how does that work?
So like I can speak for Estevan because I've been a part of that board. I've actually been the president of the board for a few years. So we have it depends. We've had normally 7 or 9 people on a board of directors, and it's we have a membership. So anyone that pays a membership fee can vote at the end of the year, and that vote constitutes the board of 7 to 9 people. And then that group gets together and they pick out, a president, a vice president, a treasurer. There's other titles within that.
So it's like electing a pope.
Yes. Is there a chaplain?
Yeah. Sort of. So it's sort of like a mini democracy in a way. And then everybody sort of splits up the work, and you might be responsible for people under you with volunteers, or you might be responsible with some track prep stuff or things like that. And you just sort of come together and do it as a community thing. And it's 100% for Estevan anyway. It's 100% volunteer. A few people that we have to pay some security. We pay our scoring and timing folks. We have really amazing tech people here. They get paid also. A few things like that. But for the most part, the core board of directors is unpaid. It's just, for us, it comprises of some racers, some not racers, like business owners. And they just realize maybe as part of their community effort that this is a facility we want to grow and have succeed. And, I think the other tracks are pretty much similar from what I can tell. I obviously don't know their interworkings, maybe exactly the same as ours, but that's sort of what it is. And then you just become a community of like-minded thinking people that understand we need each other. It's maybe a little different than Iowa, where there isn't a ton of tracks. You don't have a lot of choice. So you want to not be racing on top of each other and promote travel within the tracks. 30% of Estevan's weekly car count is American drivers. They come up here every week and cross the border and race here. So, if their home tracks are racing at the same time, that really hurts our car count. And we've always just worked together. And then, to go up to the Dakota Classic Modified level, it's the same people that work together weekly anyways. And we're working together to bring in, for most of us anyway, it's our Super Bowl level event. And we understand financially and on every level, it impacts, our ability to do business on a weekly basis. So it's honestly a dream to work with these people because everybody just wants the same thing. And even if you look at the group that we bring on the tour, it's people from Mandan and people from Minot, and there's people from all the tracks are kind of on our group of directors on that level too. So it's definitely different. I know when I talk to people down south or elsewhere, it's not normal, but it's really worked good for us here. And I think just because of our geographical makeup, we need each other, and we kind of know that to succeed, the rising tide needs to lift all the boats.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys, like I said, get together, do wonderful things up there. The other question I have for Byron is why in recent years has the United States hockey made Canada their bitch at the World Juniors? Care to comment on that?
Oh my God.
It's definitely a major concern.
I think Jim's travel plans for the Dakota Tour have changed. I don't think he'll be going.
Byron, I think Shorzy needs to up his game or something.
You think Jim's a hockey
But,
fan?
I got the Shorzy gear.
but I think ultimately, like as far as hockey goes, it's awesome to see how much hockey is really becoming a popular sport in the States, and just because of a pure numbers game, it's going to become America's sport over time, right? You have
like 5 years ago,
40 million people to draw from. It's just going to happen. But that, it's fine. The same as racing. I just love to see the game of hockey growing. So that's good.
And do you ever think a Canadian team will win the Stanley Cup ever?
Well, honestly, I don't think of it that way so much, because I actually cheer against quite a few of the other Canadian. I'm a fan of my team in Canada, and most of the Canadian teams are sort of rivals to them. So
who is
I don't
that?
cheer for them a lot.
Who is your team?
I cheer for the Calgary Flames, which is sad. They're a bad team, but we're young now. We got new management, and
They were good about 30 years ago, 35 years ago.
Yeah, they won a cup in '89. I was 9 years old or something, like 8 years old. So
we call that team in
Been
the
a
United
while.
States the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Just
you
describe
can't
the
pick who you
Cowboys.
cheer for, right? You just cheer for who you cheer for.
You do have one of my favorite players in the NHL on the roster.
Who's that?
Take a guess.
I would say maybe Nazem Kadri. That's who I
Eh,
like. No?
No, I'm wrong. I'm thinking of it. I got Calgary and Ottawa confused.
Oh, Kachuk, yeah. With Kachucks.
Yep.
I huge Matthew Kachuk fan. He was a Flame for a long time, and
Yep.
excelling in Florida. And I love his style of play. That's exactly my favorite style of play. So that's cool to watch.
One other question. Favorite all-time hockey movie?
Favorite all-time hockey movie?
Mighty Ducks.
I knew that was going to come from Ryan. I knew that was going to come from Ryan. Mighty Ducks.
I like the Mighty Ducks.
Emilio Estevez, hello.
Mighty Ducks is in my wheelhouse for my age,
Oh
but
my
I got to go
God.
slap shot.
Oh,
slap shot.
Bingo.
yes.
Thank you. The all-time best.
Yeah.
It's a hockey movie, so yeah.
Thank you. Somebody got it right.
I even almost have the slap shot glasses here. So
Favorite Hanson brother?
oh, that's the short one. I can't remember his name, but he's the feisty one.
The feisty. They were all feisty.
She ate my quarter.
So Byron, about you,
Yeah.
we always know you as BFF, Byron Fichter Photography. But tell us about you. What's a day in the life of Byron Fichter?
Oh, it's actually really boring. It's probably pretty boring for most people, but I got a lot going on. I got my day job. I'm a power engineer by trade, so I work for a power generation station in Estevan. That's what I do by trade. Obviously, I'm still on the board of directors for Estevan Motor Speedway, so that bit of work, the mod tour stuff, and then I own an art gallery in Estevan also, and that's a friend of mine and I kind of curate that together, and we promote local art. So I have my art in there. We have a bunch of local painters, potters. We host concerts usually through the fall. We get Saskatchewan-based music acts to come in, and we've been blessed. We've had probably the best of the best in Saskatchewan come through our place artistically and musically, and that's all. I'm a live music junkie, so that's a whole lot of fun. Our building's old. It's a really old vibe. We got old chandeliers and stuff. Like it's kind of like I always liken it to like going to Bourbon Street or something, you know, that old style architecture, and it's a party. We have a lot of fun. So that's we do a lot of that.
So we should
When they come
to
best
tour.
band ever come out of Canada. Who?
Well, my favorite band is the Tragically Hip, but I think most people would probably say, you know, the Guess Who or maybe Rush. So
Rush. Kim Mitchell.
Kim Mitchell's great.
Yes.
Love Kim Mitchell. He's probably my number 2. Tragically Hip's always gonna be number 1 for me, but that's my age maybe. So none of you have probably even heard of the Tragically Hip. They never made it across the border. Like, you know, Nickelback made it across the border, but Tragically Hip never did, which maybe is the most
DUIs is.
Yes, they have too many.
No, they were clean people. They alternative rock, and they're great musicians that just never caught on south of the border. Just one of those things. So.
You know, that's one of the other great things about the Dakota Tour, sitting at the border station and seeing who can and can't get across.
But they got a website you can check yourself in on that. I was looking at the Facebook the other day, and it gave like all the camping, you know, and that's another good thing. I mean, it tells you, you know, what tracks have what for camping, this and that, and it says, you know, if you've broken the laws and go to this website to make sure you can enter, because it is a thing. You can't get in.
It's actually it's honestly like it gives me a lot of stress because, you know, I think a lot of Americans specifically, you know, it's a point of concern for everybody, especially a lot of that. Like it's curious when you have some Americans that have like never been to Canada before, and it's like you hear why they didn't make it in. And it's like, well, I had a bunch of guns in my car. We had some strange ones, like my dogs didn't have a current vaccination certificate with us, even though they were, you know, up to date. You have to prove with the certificate and all that stuff. So there are a few little nuances, and you know, it's frustrating because it's a thing, right? But again, I just go back to that's maybe what makes this tour special, and that's what makes it hard to win, and that's maybe what gives it a little more prestige than it might normally have not had.
Because there are those select few that cannot get there, right?
It's pretty good. I mean, usually there's only 1 or 2 people every year, and it's honestly, like, and I hate to say it this way, but just maybe people that didn't do some pre-research. We try to share as much of that information on our Facebook and stuff as we can. We have a website of, like we said, there's a website I've posted on there. You can even just talk to them and they will give you an idea of whether you can or cannot. So it's a thing, right? And, you know, it's a thing going both ways, but I find, like I said, 30% of our local drivers are American. And when you know, and lots of our drivers race across North Dakota weekly also. And for the most part, everybody's like, you know, if you're just polite, just state the facts. You're not kidding around. Like it's actually a fairly simple process. Usually takes only a couple minutes.
That confirms Jerry will never make it into
No,
Canada. Be respectful, be polite.
If you could say polite, that means Jim's going to have a most difficult time.
I got across a few years back without a passport.
And you don't. It's not required. A passport to get into Canada is not required. Just theoretically, you need one to get into the States. But if you're American already, they can't turn you back of your citizenship.
They tried.
Well,
we didn't want him back.
Yeah, that's because we called and said, "Hey, you see this guy? Keep him."
Out of all the people on this podcast, who would be the one that you would pick that could not get across the border?
I see Byron.
For sure. Jerry. That's not even a question, is it?
What? I can get across.
We all vote Jerry.
I mean,
Jerry.
I don't know if you know this. I went to the website and put my name in. I am clear.
So they empty your pockets.
Yeah, it's good. That's good information to know. It's good to know that you've got that stuff available on the website. The racers can reach out and do a little pre-screening, figure out for sure. I mean, I made that mistake many years ago. I took my oldest daughter at the time. Yeah, Virginia and I went up there with Alyssa and didn't have a birth certificate and didn't have a note from her mother. We were separated, so you have to have both parents. We did at the time. That's a long time ago. So we I think it's Portal, right? There's Portal and Noonan. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the
Yeah, you
the
go
top.
up through Portal and then you go down into Noonan.
Yeah, see, I tried to go through Noonan because I didn't think I was going to be able to get across through Portal because it's like the big border crossing is in Portal. Noonan's like the back door. And so I tried to go up through Noonan to try to sneak through there with my daughter, and that didn't work.
They were like, we got you, Goofy American.
I think we sat there for 4 hours or 5 hours, something like that, by the time we were able to get Alyssa okay to get across the border with us. So take that stuff serious. If you're listening and you're a racer and you're going up there for the first time, take all that stuff serious. Do your little bit of research. Make sure you need what you need to get across the border, because you're not going to be able to talk your way out of it. No matter how kind you are, you're not going to be able to talk your way into Canada without the proper documentation. You know, the other thing I would be curious about, I don't imagine, and this is a serious question, don't take it as a nod. I don't imagine like now it's any harder than it was last year to get across the border. They haven't changed anything, have they, Byron, that you're aware of that any of the racers would need to be concerned about?
No, I don't think so. Personally, it's been exactly the same. In fact,
Okay.
the last time I crossed was extremely easy. Same thing. I've talked to Jordan Boyce and Brandon Beater, who come up here weekly, and
Yep.
they both said the same thing. It's pretty much par for the course. Everything's pretty smooth.
Okay.
You know, people just got to remember, like, these border patrol people, they're doing a job, and you know, the border's in the news a lot lately on especially on your guys' side of the border, perhaps. And you know, they're trying to do is keep, you know, bad things from crossing the border and bad people from crossing the border, and that's their job, and they take it seriously. And
Yep.
I think we just, you know, you have to respect that a little bit, and that's just how it is. And they're, you know, they're not there to keep you out of the country. They want, you know, they want you to come into the country. They want you to visit our great country, and your people want us to visit your great country. So I always look at it, you got to mentally think of it as they're just, you know, the bouncer at the front door, and they're just trying to keep the riffraff out. And I think as long as you respect that, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
How long of a process is that if it's going smoothly to cross the border? Is it minutes? Is it seconds? Is it hours?
When I rolled with Beater about this time last month, both in, because we went up into Noonan, because the Tougher Than Dirt tour kind of goes the opposite way of the Dakota tour. I want to think 2 minutes maybe, but he crosses all the time, so
You probably know him.
it was easy. Yeah, he's on the good list.
Okay.
So, and when we were coming back that night, they said, you guys both from Minot. It's one of those deals where sometimes there's a question, you know, they're not being mean, they're just trying to make sure that the story matches up. And I'm like, I'm not from Minot. Well, what are you doing here? Well, I'm just here to watch the races, and have a good night, guys. That was it. That's how long the conversation went.
Yep.
So
I find for
Last
myself,
year-
and it's usually harder to get back in your own country, is because they think you bought something that you're trying to not pay tax on or whatever. But yeah, it's honestly like seconds, minutes. Like usually you wait in line a little bit longer because there's people ahead of you. That's all. So I don't know. I've never really had a difficult, like, I've had the odd time I've had my car searched or whatever, and I don't know if it's because I gave a peculiar answer, but you know, it's been not a problem. It's like going through the drive-through for a coffee, right?
I remember that one time at COVID, and you couldn't come across to come to Super Nationals, and I told you how we were going to get you here. We're just going to swim. I told you to start
Tunnel?
swimming across.
Dig a tunnel.
No, I was just going to have them swim across the lake and pick him up on the other side. They weren't watching for lakes.
Not the worst idea.
last year we had to go into the thing because I was riding with the other announcer, and he had, what was it, Byron, 4 milligram Zen pouches, but the legal limit in Canada is 3. You have to have a prescription if you have more than 3 milligrams. So yeah, that was wild. Then I'm sitting there forever, and I wanted a stamp in my passport, and they asked me all the questions again, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna kick me out. So
Did they actually stamp your They usually don't stamp your passport for crossing.
they
the border.
did. They were reluctant. They gave me funny looks, and the guy had it. He went and took it back at his desk, and it felt like it was half an hour, but it was probably like maybe 3 minutes.
Special
But
request.
I'm
Yeah. They didn't look at you funny
know.
because you asked for a stamp.
Well, true story. My first ever border crossing, I went to Edmonton, and I was told the same thing. Just be honest, tell them what you're doing here. I'm here to announce a race. Oh, you getting paid? Yep. You know how much?
Uh-oh.
And that, you know, and so they're like, pull right up. They went through my whole phone. They called the guy. You know, they're like, this guy needs a visa, and they're like, well, we're just gonna give him $70 for gas. Oh, okay. You know, they thought I was gonna be raking in like 70 grand or something.
Are you working? Nope, I'm volunteering.
I have had that question as well. Yep. Are you here to work? No. Why are you going to the races then? To watch? Yeah.
Why do you have this trailer that says IMCA Racing on it?
I think at the time it was a van at IMCA on the side of it. So I don't do that anymore because people keyed my vehicles too much. I was popular when I put IMCA on my side of my vehicles.
Or the removable magnets.
Yeah, we've tried everything. We just quit doing it.
Yeah, I just put it on the license plate.
Yeah, removable magnet blow off going to a Deary Series race or something like that. It's like, all right, just throw these in the trash.
Wow.
What else about the tour? Did we talk about stock car stuff? We did a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, he said there's a good 42 stock cars pre-entered.
That's another one, too. They've had 6 consecutive different tour champions. You know, it used to be Elijah Zevenbergen every year was the dominant guy, and the last few years it's been a who's who.
Yeah, you look at how many, stock car wins Zevenbergen's got. 22. That's just a pile. That's just a pile of wins, especially up there, which, again, there's some really stiff competition up there.
I think this year
in
will
all
be
the
more than
sanctioned
ever
classes.
with the way the stock cars have exploded at Mandan.
Yeah, Adam and
I mean, they're
Mandan.
getting
We talked about
23 a
that.
night. And so I think it's going to be even more interesting this year
Yep.
with the competition.
So I don't know if we've actually talked about the actual schedule. So we start out in Jamestown on Saturday, right?
Correct.
Then we're off to Minot, which normally runs on Sunday nights. So they run Minot on Sunday. Then up into Estevan on Monday. Then back down across the border over to Williston. Then down to Dickinson.
You got this memorized?
I have
cheating?
made this trip many, many times. And then over from Dickinson, over wraps the tour up in Mandan. So you do have a couple things I think are important to talk about too, Byron. One, the format of the racing itself. You're doing a passing point system, right? Still doing passing points up there?
Yep, that's correct.
Both divisions?
I don't know the exact details of it off the top of my head, but there is a passing points thing. I think heat race winners lock in. Actually, Ben probably knows more about it than I do. But heat race winners lock in, and then there's passing points behind that.
Yep, passing points. You'll have heats. You'll take the A feature qualifiers out of the heats, depending on how many heats you have and stuff like that. They automatically take the winners, and then depending on how many heats, the rest comes out of those heats on passing points, which is, I think it's like the system they just used at 141, if I remember correctly, for their Clash at the Creek.
Yeah,
I think they used the same passing point system.
ASCS type system.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
a lot of people.
Yep, they'll do that in both mods and stock cars. I think that's important for everybody to know. I think most of the racers know that stuff, but if you don't, it's what you're gonna be welcomed with when you show up in Jamestown. The other thing I think it's interesting too is how you're tabulating the champion, where you're going to drop a race.
Yep. The tracks, actually, we've done that in the past. This isn't really that new, but it went away I actually don't know the history of it, but it went away for a while. And then last year, when Aaron and I we hold a meeting every fall with all the tracks, representatives of all the tracks, and Brandon joins us also. And we talk about pretty much all the rules and the purse structure and what we're going to charge on the pits and all that stuff is all co-opted by the track. So they presented that they wanted the dropper rule back. They unanimously agreed to it. So
that's what you call it, the dropper rule?
Yep. So it's a drop a night championship. So it's your best 5 nights out of the 6 nights of racing. There's a few caveats, if it rains, everybody uses that as a drop a night.
Yep.
You cannot drop Dakota Speedway if they race.
That's the last. That's the championship night.
Yep. So You know, it's if the weather's good and all nights go good, you know, if you can't get in Estevan, it gives you maybe a shot of winning that way. You know, a lot of local drivers want this too because they'll race Saturday, Sunday, see how they're doing in points, and then it'll determine if they're going to continue on and try to, you know, go against the big boys and win a championship. So maybe it gives them one night if they have to work or something like that too, or you know, if you just have a bad night. You know, I don't like it for that reason. I'd rather have the drivers, you know, duke it out on the track, but you know, it's a little bit of both, right? I mean, if it can, you know, if it's something like the Canada thing or whatever, and people, you know, can see value in coming because of the drop of night, then I'm good. I'm good with that. And like you said, all the tracks agree to it, and we just want what they want. So
It is a tour.
That's how we're.
It follows almost if you're looking at it on the map, the cities I just named, it's almost like a big circle.
Yeah, it's a big circle.
So
about 100 to 120 miles of travel. But I think the farthest distance between tracks is about 120 miles. The rest are a little bit, you know, that are a little bit shorter. So
couple hour drive on average
between them
from track to track. So again, that's really soft on the tour. You're not running 6 hours or 8 hours in between races or some crazy thing. It's to me, I think it's that plays into, I think, why it's become so popular. It's got a really good mapped layout of what track you start at, what track you end at.
Yep.
And the distance between all of them, you know, so it makes it very manageable for somebody who wants to go up there and race that many different racetracks, that many nights in a row. And I think the dropper rule is not the worst idea in the world. I mean, obviously, it causes us a little bit of problem on the sanctioning side of things. I think we might have talked about this before. You know, obviously, all the races will count as national point races, state races, regional races, all that stuff will apply. So even though you may drop, let's just use let's just use Minot as an example. You don't race in Minot on Sunday, which would be kind of crazy because it's kind of usually right in the middle of everything. But if you didn't race Minot, if you dropped Minot, you had a poor finish. Let's just use that as an example. You had a poor finish and you chose to drop Minot. At IMCA, we can't drop that with our national point structure in those divisions. It still has to follow those guidelines. So we still count that race here, but you don't count it towards the Tour Championship points. So it's interesting, you know, because people think that you just drop it. You can just drop it all, and you really can't with an IMCA when it comes to the points because of our best of 30 out of 55.
If you choose to drop Estevan, does that count as one or two races with tariffs?
What one plus 25% of a race?
Okay.
What is the exchange rate right now?
The exchange rate is terrible for Canadians. If you're an American traveling, when you stay in Canada, you'll get about $140 worth of value for $100. So maybe even a little bit more than that. So
how many loons and tulies do I need to have? How many do I need to bring?
Not that many. Like I said, it goes a long way in Canada right now.
Just think of the poutine you'll be having up in Canada, Jerry, if you were to go.
One of the things I remember about Estevan when I went there is the concession stand. You know, I go up to the concession stand. I'm like, what are these people eating? I had no idea what they were. And it was pierogies.
Pierogies?
Yes. Pierogies.
Like, what the hell? It's like a potato.
The Emos.
Ravioli.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, what in the
It's
hell
like
are these people
potato
eating?
dumpling filled with cheese and onions.
Yeah, you put the butter on top of it. And
Yes.
Yes.
They're better if they're fried a little bit so they're crispy.
Yes.
They look like, what are those little Uncrustables? They look kind of like an Uncrustable is what I kind of, they're smaller.
I ate my Uncrustable already.
A little smaller than that.
Yeah, they're like a ravioli, but they're awesome. I remember the first time I had them.
So it's like
the Emos made them up, and they were good.
A handy dose of cardiac arrest all at once. Is that what that is?
Something like that. They're good. Pierogies, poutine. Good stuff. And one last thing before we wrap it up, and we're getting here to our time limit. Sponsorship. We got Walla Oilfield and Trucking is the title sponsor of the tour this year. And Industrial Electric also participating.
Yeah, Industrial Electric's been on board for a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously before my time. And then, yeah, we're super happy to have Jason Walla and Jason Walla Trucking on board as a naming sponsor. I think most of us are familiar with Jason. He's a national champion. He's won races on this event before, and it's really cool to see him get on board and see a local racer, support local racing. And it's really exciting. I haven't seen him face to face yet since this happened, but I can't wait to go give him a handshake. He's a good guy, and it's really cool for the tour, and it's cool for the sport.
Walla was down at was he at the Frostbuster or something like that?
Yeah, he can race Frostbusters this year.
I thought I saw his car. I didn't see him. I saw his car go by. And I'm like, is that Walla?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk to him either, but
I'm always looking at, when I see a car, I think I know what a car is, but I don't know for sure. I always look at the area codes on the sponsors on the side of the car. Like, what's the area code on that race car? And if, then that's how I can, okay, yeah, that's who I think it is or don't think it is. But yeah, Walla was down here. I haven't talked to Jason in a while. But again, very decorated IMCA racer. He was the guy to beat. He was having some of those seasons too, where he was the guy to beat.
Yeah. Byron, you know what I'm almost as equally excited about that's happening in Canada here shortly? Not only the tour.
What's that?
Season 13 of the Trailer Park Boys is being shot right now.
Good Lord.
Oh yeah, I didn't know there's season. I seen they have a new thing on Netflix, Trailer Park Boys Jail. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I got to get tuned in on that then.
Seen a preview for it the other day.
That's a good looking kitty right there, boys.
The best show in the history of shows.
Might be the best show in the history of Canadian TV.
Shoresy. Nothing beats Shoresy.
Shoresy's great also.
Shoresy
Nothing beats it.
SCTV.
CTV.
SCTV.
Remember SCTV back in the day?
Yes.
Second City TV.
Word.
One of my all-time
get
favorite
back on
movies,
track.
Canadian Bacon.
So who designed the Dakota Tour Classic logo?
That's Blaine Durward has done that for us. He does our T-shirt design too.
Yeah, that thing is nice.
I've known him for a long time. He's originally out of Trenton, North Dakota, which is 10 minutes outside of Williston. He's raced IMCA stock car. He's been on the stock car tour in the past, or on the tour in a stock car in the past, I should say. We just reached out to him. Part of us doing this too is like we want to support local businesses and bring local people in. And at first, I thought it'd be cool to bring a local designer in, and he's well known in the industry as a top level designer. And I wanted to do it at first. It's like, oh, we should bring him in to promote him. But in all reality, we're lucky to have him. He's probably too big for us. He designs for Kyle Larson and pretty much everybody in NASCAR. So for him to design the logo for us and design our T-shirts every year, stuff like that, it's we're lucky.
What's his name again? Blaine, you said?
Blaine Durward, yep.
And what's his business?
And he's an independent designer. He just goes by Durward on Facebook.
Gotcha. So you're not going to get him on Fiverr or anything like that?
Yeah, I actually don't know.
Probably not.
I
just think the logo is on point. It's such a cool logo.
Yes.
Well done.
Yeah. We said we wanted something that represents North Dakota with the wheat sheaves and the pump jack, and he knocked it out of the park. We have one of the coolest logos in racing, I think, and it's all a testament to his creativity. So.
Yeah.
All right, so now the debate. What is the difference between ham and Canadian bacon?
See, we don't even have Canadian bacon up here. That's an American thing for sure. We just call it ham. There's if you came up here and asked for Canadian bacon, nobody would know what you're talking
Canadian
about.
bacon in
What
Canada.
about the movie?
That is so weird.
Yeah, well, the movie, definitely the movies. Canadian bacon's just, it's like a or hoser or something. It's just one of those terms that Americans used to stereotype Canadians.
The McKenzie
The
brothers.
McKenzie brothers.
You're right.
It's on fire. Oh, I gotta go. Get me over there. And he puts out the fire. What the?
Well, let's wrap it out. What else? You have anything interesting, Ryan? We didn't touch on?
No, I don't think so.
Ben, any interesting? Ben, you're going to be up there on the tour for IMCA TV.
Well, something I'm excited for, and I'm sure Byron and even Jim and even you, Brett, could agree on, is the fans that follow along and cheer on these drivers, which is really cool that folks take their vacation out. I know that Victory Lane at Estevan, Williston, Mandan, and for sure Minot. It is so loud that you basically got to yell in the driver's ear after they've won, because there's just hundreds of kids just screaming their ears off right next to the fence, and it's something super cool to see. And I think it sets a great precedent for tours, for families and race fans to travel along for things like this, because it is designed for them, for their entertainment night after night too.
Yeah, I think for all these racetracks, or at least most of them, for many years, the Dakota Tour race is their biggest race of the year. It's their annual event that they count on. That does really well for the speedway. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I remember I went to Williston one year, and I don't think I've ever seen so many people in line at the grandstands at any racetrack I've ever been in. They were like down the road, like it was like a mile-long line to get into the place. But
And what track is in the different time zone again?
Dickinson.
Every other
Dickinson.
one, it seems like.
Yeah, I know it.
I think it's Dickinson, right?
Estevan and Dickinson are both. Estevan has actually Saskatchewan, the province of Saskatchewan has its own time zone. We don't change time. We're the one weird people that doesn't. We don't have a time change. So.
That is why we want to make you a 51st state.
Yes,
right
if we could get Canada and Arizona to help us get.
It's the best.
Two birds with one stone, right?
We also don't have pennies, which is a huge thing. You guys,
we're working on that. We're working on that.
What do you put in your loafers up there?
we have nickel loafers with the what'd you say, the tariffs? I gotta go to nickel loafers now.
So we do have a couple.
Right,
we have
right
time change.
We're
racing in two different countries, two or three different time zones, couple different time zones, couple different countries. The tour is going to be good.
Truly international.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Estevan really is the only track in the state of Canada that I can. In the
State of Canada.
Yeah, it got me thinking. He just got me. He's got my mindset up. In the country of Canada that we sanctioned through the United States, if I remember correctly, right, Jim?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, yes.
You have IMCA and IMCA Canada. For those that don't know this is kind of interesting too. There is an IMCA Canada. Bruce Hampton and his wife run it and have since the late 80s, maybe.
Yeah, it's been around forever.
Early 90s, about as long as the tour has been in effect. And so he runs IMCA Canada, and we stay south of the border. He stays north of the border. But I'll never forget this as well. When Estevan was built, a few years, it had to been, I don't know what exact year it was, but it had to been around the mid to late 1990s. Because I remember
1999.
I remember having the conversation with Ed Turnbull at the time. He called here to get sanctioned. And I'm like, we can't sanction you. You're in Canada. And our licensing agreement with IMCA Canada doesn't allow it. And he's like, well, you don't understand. As he told me, you don't understand. I'm not going to sanction with IMCA Canada. I'm going to sanction with IMCA in the United States, or I'm going to sanction with WISSOTA. That's exactly what Ed Turnbull told me. And so, needless to say, Estevan is the only track in Canada that is sanctioned by IMCA in the United States, because that's the way Ed Turnbull wanted it. He was the person at the time that was representing the Speedway, and I never forget that conversation. And here we are, 26 years later or whatever it is, still IMCA sanctioned, still running the Dakota Tour, still encouraging IMCA racers from the United States to cross the border and go up there. And it's a cool facility. I think, I've always kind of thought this, again, I'm talking too much again, Minot is used a lot of ideas from Boone. John Gall and some fair board members that were around for many years always come down to Super Nationals and kind of use some of the Boone ideas. Farming the racetrack, Packers, they always took pictures. They came down to Boone to the Super Nationals to gain ideas. And they did a really, really fantastic job taking those ideas back up to North Dakota. And Estevan, in my opinion, is very similar to Boone. I always thought when I was there that this place is a lot like Boone. I just think it might be a little bit bigger than Boone, but not much, if anything. But I always thought that place, if I had to pick a track, that kind of reminded me of what Boone looked like and its shape and size and stuff. I always thought Estevan was kind of that place, as weird as that may seem. But again, just observations that I dealt with and made in the years. It's been a few years since I've been up to the tour.
Well, what's really cool about that place, Brett, is they've got historical markers dedicated to folks that help get the track started and things like that. So it's like a museum too. And me being a amateur historian, I really like that, and that's a really cool nod.
Yeah.
Well,
What else?
when are we gonna do this again?
Well, the tour we'll do again next year.
Well,
Podcast?
why don't we do it next week first? Before,
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Okay.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, Nate,
next
the
week,
IMCA TV.
next week we'll all be on tour. Well, I mean,
Ben's going to be up there. Nate's going to be up there. Half the IMCA TV team will be up there on the tour. Have been for many years.
you'll probably still be the chiropractor.
I will probably be laying in
They
bed.
might put you in traction.
I know.
Oh, we could do that. We could hook you
Yeah,
between the
painkillers.
truck and the tractor
I'll
and
need a
just
drip cup.
give you a tug off,
Yeah.
stretch you out.
Right.
Heard
So
you're
neat.
pretty good at that, Jerry.
Now,
It's oh, here we go
Hey.
again.
I usually
right.
am all by myself.
Well, again, let's wrap it up so they can watch the tour on IMCA TV. You got that package and all that stuff listed, Nate? You can
all-
buy it per event. If you don't want to watch them all, you don't have to. You can buy per event or break it down into packages. There's
Why would you not just buy the whole thing?
most people do. There's lots of different
good thing about it-
combinations that you can actually watch the stream on through IMCA TV.
No matter what your past is, you can still watch the race in Estevan on IMCA TV.
Correct.
Byron, thanks for being here.
Yes.
Thanks
Good to
for
see.
having
Good
me.
to see our BFF.
I know it's good to see you too. It's been way too long.
Yeah,
Can't wait to give you a big hug at Supernatural.
I know. I'm ready for it. Ready for
A
the.
Jer Bear hug.
Cheer,
Yeah.
Bear.
Byron does give the best. He does give the best. Welcome from Canada hugs. He's the best.
Yeah.
That's what a couple ladies told me too.
Wrap it up, Jerry.
All right. Hey, it's Dakota Tour coming up here on IMCA TV, plus a lot of great weekly racing, plus a lot of other great stuff on IMCA TV. So we thank you for being tuned in. Don't forget, Replay Pass, $24.99. You can go get 30 days of all the archived racing. So from all of us to all of you, thanks for being tuned in. We'll see you next time.
Have a safe trip home. Be good. God bless and good night.
Oh, yeah, we could have done that, but maybe it's not nighttime.